Welcome back to Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. As we all know, October, very important month, the month to go pink. I actually have on a pink shirt today. Look at that. Was this on purpose or no? Maybe it was just something internal. Anyway, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I am here with a round table full of just girl magic around this thing. First, I would like to introduce Miss Ashley Dedmon. Ashley, welcome back to the program. She's been on a few times, and we linked up, and she's very passionate about this, and we're going to talk about Ashley and get her story and talk about the gene that she has, which is a very rare gene, from what I understand, the BRCA gene. And she also brought along
Brooke Dedmon with Accelerate Studio.
Hey, Brooke. Good morning.
What's up?
Misty Jones with the SDFL.
Hi. Good morning.
Runsi Sen from Ovarcome.
Yeah, and you can move it. It'll move. It won't make any noise. You guys will be fine.
Maliah with gotboobs.com.
All right. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So, first, Ashley, let's talk about you and your story. Tell our listening audience about this rare gene and the things that you have gone through and survived.
So breast cancer impacted 3 generations of women in my family. The latest was my mother, who was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. She battled for about 4 years, and she lost her battle. And shortly after, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so it was at that time I was 18 years old, and I was very lost and confused and really felt alone, feeling like I was next. I knew my family history. I knew that my mom had just passed away, and then now my dad has prostate cancer. And so I really felt like I was next. And so I had a lot of questions, and I knew I needed some answers. And so that's when I turned to my OBGYN, and she made me aware of the BRCA, the Braca gene mutation. Now, the Braca gene, we all carry the Braca gene. We all carry it. The question is if you carry a mutated gene. Mm-hmm. And so she educated me on what Braca was, and I got tested. And at 22, I found out I was the BRCA 2 carrier. So there's BRCA1 and there's BRCA2. They're tumor suppressor genes, and one of their main roles is to suppress tumors or suppress abnormal growth. And so when your gene is mutated, you have an increased risk for certain cancers, such as breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and even elevated risk with prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, and even melanoma. So men and women, we all carry the BRCA gene. Mm-hmm. It's just the testing finds out if you carry a mutated gene, and women and men can carry a mutated gene because you get half of your DNA from your mom and you get half of your DNA from your father. And so with this knowledge, I was able to know what my options were, and be able to make informed decisions going forward. So with BRCA2, I'm high risk for breast and ovarian cancer. Mm-hmm. I have up to an 87% risk, or I had up to an 87% risk of breast cancer and up to 27% risk of ovarian cancer. And then, of course, there's other elevated risks that go along with it.
Mm-hmm. And you beat those odds.
On the breast cancer side, now my risk now for breast cancer, I had a preventative double mastectomy where they went in and removed my breast tissue and rebuilt my breast with implants. And so I have reduced my risk. The average woman is at about a 12% risk of breast cancer. 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer over the course of their lifetime. And so I've reduced my risk, and I'm still getting annual transvaginals to monitor my ovarian health.
Indeed. So the other ladies who are around the table, you all have some things to offer. I mean, we
Absolutely.
yeah. So, Brooke,
Yes.
tell us what it is that you bring to the table here.
Right. So I own Accelerate Studio, and that's an indoor cycling studio in Missouri City, Texas. And so how I use my platform is through awareness. I have a platform of women, and we talk about healthy living, healthy lifestyles. Once a quarter, I try to bring some sort of awareness to my community of people. This month, we're focusing on breast cancer. I know we're not talking about heart diseases now, but next month we'll focus on that. So a lot of times people work out and we get consumed in what we look like on the outside. Mm-hmm. But my focus is, okay, what are we looking like on the inside? How are we taking care of ourselves? You know, being physically fit isn't just about the outside. Right. So I talk a lot about treating yourself. And a lot of times when people hear treat yourself, they're like, okay, I'm going to go splurge and do this. Right. But my definition of that is saying no to things that don't align with your values and, you know, what you want, and say yes when you want to say yes. And when you have those choices, it's liberating. And so it's a whole total body wellness of, okay, we look good, but more importantly, we feel good too. Indeed.
And let's see, Misty. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My side is more on the ovarian cancer, which we just got off the heels of that in September, which was Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month.
And the name of your organization again? I'm sorry.
The SDFL.
Okay.
So I was a caregiver to my mother, who succumbed to ovarian cancer this past February. So as a daughter, losing your mother to such a tragic disease is, you kind of try to figure out, am I next? You know, kind of like Ashley. Sure. So all of the symptoms that ovarian cancer presents are typically normal symptoms, you know, things that you don't feel like, okay, would be, you know, cancer symptoms until you've been in that situation and you've been through taking care of someone who has those symptoms and seeing them exacerbate into, you know, something more than what anybody expected, you know, just from bloating, abnormal, you know, constipation, or, you know, just typical things, just minor pain that you think, oh, okay, that's normal, I can deal with that, you know. So my portion was to watch her go through all of those things, and we found out that ovarian cancer was at a stage 4 when we found it. So you typically find out later than earlier because you put off, you know, what you think is normal symptoms. So it's just, you know, hard to get people to understand that those normal symptoms can sometimes be bigger problems, especially in our community. We don't really talk about, oh, I'm bloated. You think it's, you know, it's normal when you're going about your day, but don't think that that's linked to potentially ovarian cancer, along with other, you know, minor issues.
Small, little
issues. So we kind of just bypass it, and then once you find out, you're usually stage 3, stage 4, and it's late.
It's too late. Ladies, is that Runsi?
Runsi.
Yeah, Runsi. Let's talk about your organization.
Yeah, so I represent Ovarcome, and Ovarcome is an ovarian cancer foundation. And so our mission at Ovarcome is to raise global awareness, to fund research in search of a cure, and also to help underserved ovarian cancer patients in need. And so the foundation of our organization was created because I lost my mom to ovarian cancer about 10 years ago, and in her memory and, you know, with her inspiration, I created this foundation. Now, to Ashley's point, when you are a caregiver or a daughter of a cancer survivor, particularly for a breast or ovarian cancer survivor, it is important for us to know whether or not we carry the gene. So, for example, Misty lost her mom to ovarian. I lost my mom to ovarian. So for children of cancer patients, it is very important for us to at least take that test and determine whether or not we carry that gene, because that determines our path forward. So it took me, and this is a message that I want to share with other ladies, because I was my mom's only child and she passed from ovarian. And so, but it still took me about 9 years to get tested. So it was because of the fact that it's just time consuming, and I was just, pushing it, not wanting to confront the fact that I might carry that gene and have that risk.
That was going to be
someday to develop.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, so it took me, and then I have children, this and that. So it was just going on and on, even though I was, I created this foundation and my work was ongoing, but I still did not take that step to do what was necessary for me to do as a daughter. Finally, I took the test after 9 years, and I am BRCA negative, which means that I do not carry that risk. But however, there's always that, that risk that still stays because I have a family history. So I have to be under surveillance more than other women. So this is a message that I very strongly want to emphasize, that if you have a family history of breast and or ovarian cancer, even if your mom has taken that test, and whether or not she's BRCA positive or negative, just go ahead and take the test yourself, because it determines your path forward, your health forward, and I think it's critically important.
Indeed. And this test is something that is normally covered through your health insurance, yes?
So typically it is. I know a lot of times there's criteria. So a lot of times it's very important to know your family history to identify any rare, young, or multiple cancers. And so as you're going to your doctor's office and they're having you fill out that form and they're asking about your family history, that's very important that you share that information with your doctor. As far as the coverage, I believe now, yes, most insurances do pay. It does depend on which company you're getting tested through. So it's always good to have those conversations with your doctor, just so you can know for your case and for your situation, any out-of-pocket expense or any cover or what your coverage would look like. So it's really case by case, but for the most part, I believe most insurance companies do cover it.
Indeed. You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to Ashley, Brooke, Misty, Runsi, and Maliah. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're talking about breast cancer, ovarian cancer, the BRCA gene, and finding out if that gene that you carry is mutated, which would cause for risk of you having breast or ovarian cancer. Maliah, let's talk about your foundation. I like the name of yours. It's called Got Boobs?
Got Boobs, gotboobs.com. I'm actually a breast cancer survivor, and I was diagnosed at the age of 34. And I didn't...
Ooh, that's young.
Yeah.
Very.
Ooh.
And I did not have any of the risk factors for breast cancer. I was super healthy, super fit, under 40, had 2 little kids by natural birth. I was not your typical person that would be going for a mammogram or anything like that. It was never even a thought in my mind to go get tested.
Not even a self one. Like if you would see an ad or a commercial about, just ladies, test yourself.
I'll tell you what happened.
Serena just put out that new one, when I think about you, I touch myself. So, I mean, yeah, I think it was great. Go ahead.
No, I did do a self-check. That's how I found the lump.
Oh,
but
Snapple.
The way I did the self-check was because I used to be I liked running. I liked jogging, and I couldn't do my path anymore. And so I was shocked, like, why can't I run? And I took a few days off. Then I tried again, still couldn't run. So then after a couple of weeks, I tried again, still couldn't run. So then I did a self-check in the shower, and I found a little size lump. I thought it was a mosquito bite. And I still couldn't run after that. I checked again after a couple of weeks, and it grew. And so that's when I knew, and I noticed it was growing and growing. So that's when I knew I had to go see my OBGYN. And she also, because I have no immediate family history, she also told me to come back in 30 days. But I was a little proactive, and I asked her, can I please get some orders? I'll take care of it on my own. I don't have to go through insurance. That's fine. And I'm so glad I did, because when I finally did decide to go, I was called in within 2 hours to come back for a biopsy. And I was pretty much diagnosed within a few days that I had that I was positive for breast cancer. And so I was really terrified. I was a single mom of 2 little girls, completely devastated. And the first thought that came into my mind after I calmed down from crying was, am I going to live? And the second thought that came into my mind was, if I'm going to live, how am I going to manage? And I just had no clue on what direction, where to go, how to start, no answers. I couldn't formulate even other questions. So it was like a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Throughout my journey, I went through a double mastectomy. I went through intense chemo, lost all my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I went through radiation, which was probably the one that took the biggest toll on my body. It depleted me of all my energy. And then, I'm in survivorship, thankfully, and it's
Yay.
Yay. But with
because you could not tell looking at you that you've gone through that.
Yeah,
she's beautiful.
Thank you. And within survivorship, I've had my own fair share of issues. I'm on some medicine called tamoxifen to block the hormones that may be responsible for the breast cancer. And that has a whole thing of side effects for my body. It, suits everyone differently. But with all of these parts that I went through, like the part of waiting for results and that high anxiety period, the part of, just finding the lump and detecting it and just thinking, what is this and what to do next, to actually fighting the disease, to now into survivorship, and now meeting so many people who are, being affected by this disease and are going through the process or the journey, and being a caregiver and, helping them through the journey. I've created a organization, a platform, which is called gotboobs.com, and it's a social support platform for all those impacted by breast cancer. And we look at to help on the emotional component, because that's the part that's often neglected. We focus a lot on awareness and treatment, but not that emotional part.
Emotional and psychological. But that, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that is the main thing that I tend to think about when one is going through finding out such information about that. Whatever it may be, your emotional state and your mental health state, because sometimes you can get into your own head. I mean, I'm Misty.
It doesn't
with you,
stop.
with your mom.
Once you've been through, cancer in any capacity, it plagues you forever mentally.
Yeah.
It's an emotional journey. Even though my mother was negative for the BRCA gene, I still think about, am I going to get it? Is this going to happen to me? When my stomach doesn't feel well, I'm like, is
what
there
is
something
that? What is that?
What's going on here? How long has that? You become like she said, you become hypersensitive to everything and thinking, is this cancer? Is this cancer?
Getting into your own head.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing to talk about is we all have different trigger points. Right? So my mother's mother died of breast cancer. And so my mom all my life had been nervous about breast cancer. I'm 38 and have never had a mammogram because I'm like, well, do I want to know? Is it, I'm afraid of, okay, my life changing depending on the news that I get. But this year, I will say that I am motivated because it's becoming more and more prevalent. People are more aware of what's going on. And now that my daughter is 10, and this is a weird trigger point, my mom was 10 when her mother died.
Wow.
And my oldest is 10. So I'm like, I need to go get tested. I need to take this serious. I preach it. I put it out there, but I don't take a step back for Brooke and say, okay, you're telling everyone else, hey guys, we got to take care of ourselves and do this and treat yourself.
Right.
But I need to take a step back and realize that my
Brooke,
life isn't my
what
life.
You preach.
Basically, right on.
And I think Brooke brings up a good point. We're wives, we're mothers, we're all of these things. And being a wife and a mom, all of that does come first, and it should. Right. But at the same time, while doing all of these things, we have to have our health as one of those top priorities. And we get so sidetracked with, even outside of our family, we get so sidetracked with outside things that we realize a year has gone by and we hadn't gone to the doctor, or it's the day of the doctor's appointment and something else has come up.
And you got to reschedule.
We reschedule. We're so quick to let that appointment go when we should really just be more mindful of saying, you know what? No, I can't cancel this appointment. I'm going to have to cancel that appointment so I can go to what matters. And that's this doctor's appointment.
So how many of y'all have to-do lists? You always do like
all
to-do
the
lists?
time.
So I go to my doctor this week and I have a list of questions that I just want to go like this because I know I'll walk in and start chasing squirrels and talking about other things. And so I think that that's a good, tool for other women. Hey guys, I know you're in a rush. You have your doctor's appointment and you probably have another appointment after. Go in with the list. And
that's the cool thing about gotboobs.com. We actually have that toolkit. We call it a toolkit, and it's a place where you can actually log in your appointments and log your medication, track your medication, see if you've taken it or not, and go log in your symptoms and see that when you had those symptoms, and if you are a fighter, you can actually do it by your treatment plan. And so then that way you can have a printout or just take your app to your doctor and you have it all there. And so it's kind of
because you
cool.
forget.
That is cool.
Yeah, you almost forget.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to cancer, whether it be breast cancer or ovarian cancer, cancer in general, it impacts the entire family.
Right.
Yeah.
It impacts the person where the disease has occurred. It impacts the spouse or the partner, the children. And as Misty said, I was 18 and she was an adult woman, and you're still a child to your parent, and there's no way to, in Runsi, there's no way to really know how to deal with it at any age. And then when you have children, it's like, as Maliah said, it's like, how do you tell your children?
Right. I was completely lost. I had no idea how to tell my kids. And I went online and I couldn't find any resources. And so,
you saw the need.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so happy Ashley came out with the book. And it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's talk about the book, Brooke.
So the book is The Big Discovery. It's about how to have that conversation with your children being diagnosed with breast cancer, because when a woman or man hears this information, their immediate response is, what about my children? I know with most moms, it's like, okay, I know my mom said, being diagnosed was not the hardest part. It was having to tell you and having to face you and wondering what life was going to be like and how am I going to help my children. And so, I have a foreword who was written by my doctor, breast oncologist, Dr. Templeton, where you really talk about the self-breast exam, which is how the mother in the story discovered the lump, and then walking through the process of the doctor confirming it at a clinical breast exam, and then ordering additional screenings to confirm what the lump is. Because a lump can be lumpy breast, it can be a cyst, it can be so many different things. So she needed to confirm what the lump was, and then it just graduates through the whole diagnosis process. And then treatment is introduced, but it's not mentioned because every diagnosis is different, every treatment option is different, and then every outcome is different. And so I leave the story there because it's important for families to really navigate through the treatment process with their kids, whether they're going through chemo and talking about what's going to be what visible or physical or emotional changes they're going to be seeing during chemo, what emotional or physical or visible changes are going to be seen during radiation. And so it really leaves it there so each family can discuss that with their children.
You listen to Access Houston. We're talking to some very courageous women as we kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm sorry, I'm just been trying to hold myself together here. So many emotions, and I'm thinking about some women who I knew, who I lost from breast cancer and other types of cancers, and just hearing you describe the book and going through that with your kids, like so much was coming down on me, and I'm like, wow, I can't even fathom. That's why I've always said that women are the strongest species on this planet. Everything that you all do, no, I'm being serious. I say this all the time. Everything that you all do and go through and still come through the fire and come out of the ashes like, okay, what's next? I'm here for the next battle.
Right.
Absolutely.
It marvels me. It really does. It really is. It's fascinating. I mean, you all are the saviors of the world, women. Always getting us out of all of the tough stuff. And go through it with such strength and grace, and it's beyond admiration for me. I mean, you all are just so amazing. What else pisses me off is the fact that you all have to go through all of the medical procedures when it comes to cancer, the radiation and the chemo and all of that, when it's really not even necessary. I mean, I've literally heard doctors say that there's other ways. Like, we should not be taking a human being through being burned, their organs burned in the inside because of radiation. If you go to other countries, they've got other ways of treating this disease. And, you know, this capitalistic country, which I love her, America, I love you, but you know, you got your issues and you're wrong and you're greedy, and to be taking all this money out when there's other ways, holistic ways of healing and dealing with disease that they don't want us to know about because it's taking money out of their pockets. That's why they call it treatment, so you can keep going back, because if you were cured of it, then there's no going back, and I can't continue to take your money. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. Brooke, can you tell us some ways that, like, what women can do to start today if it comes to exercising, just eating more clean? Right. Because I believe that everything that we put into our bodies is the cause of these diseases and what comes about in the human body.
So what I am a huge advocate for is healthy choices and healthy lifestyles, right? We have a choice in some ways. Of course, genetics and all of that leave us predisposed to certain things, but I'm not a big person that talks about diet. I'm not a big person that says, hey, you know, don't drink red wine, don't eat fast food. I'm just a proponent of moderation, doing things that, you know, leave you feeling good. There's no cookie cutter answer for me to say, hey guys, everyone follow the food pyramid and do this and you'll be healthy and you'll live happily ever after.
And do we even trust that?
But what I do advocate for, though, is health. You know, things in moderation, do what works for your body, be in tune to your body so that when something is odd or unusual, you're familiar with, okay, that's not a mosquito bite, as you mentioned. Right. But again, just healthy choices, healthy living. With Accelerate Studio, we focus on indoor cycling, which is cardio, which is heart. But at the end of the day, you know, it's just keep moving. Not everyone likes indoor cycling, and that's fine, but just keep moving. Do something every day that gets your heart rate up, that makes you feel good about yourself, confident about yourself, and don't do it alone, right? Do it with a community of people, and that's the platform that I have. Do it with people that are going to support you, that are going to challenge you, and that are going to bring resources like this together to say, okay, you know, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. All right, that's on my calendar next year. So I'm calling you for our happy hour. But I want to use my platform so that women know I care about this kind of stuff. And so one candle lighting another, I want to bring awareness to women, because you're right. We're moms, wives, we're superheroes. We bounce
dead
back.
ass, like in real life, like real superheroes. Ashley, where can people get the book, and even if they, if there's a place to go where they can just get more information on the BRCA gene and how to know if theirs is possibly mutated, like all of that great educational information that you gave us, but more importantly, the book too.
So they can go on to my website, www.pinklegacy.com. They can order, and it will also be on Amazon beginning next week. To learn more about the BRCA gene, Force is a great website to go to. I know just about learning about breast cancer and ovarian cancer, I would definitely recommend Runsi's and Maliah's platform. Those are great resources. I've had the opportunity I'm an ambassador with Got Boobs and a volunteer with Ovarcome, and they provide great resources. Following them on social media, they really give a lot of resources, and they actually have a lot of partnerships with other organizations that have really good resources. So I would say Force, Ovarcome, and Got Boobs. Those are three great resources in addition to other resources that are already out there. But it's always important to make sure that the resources you go to are definitely credible resources, and you've had those collaborative conversations with your doctor to see what resources they recommend as well. Because it's really it's really important to focus on the total patient and making sure that it's not just Googling something, but really being aware of what you're going to, and that those platforms are supported by doctors and resources as credible.
Indeed.
Yeah, not WebMD.
Yes.
I've diagnosed myself 20
information
times
for your organization?
with WebMD.
Yeah.
I am with the SDFL, which also is the leading ladies of the SDFL, and we're having some ovarian cancer fundraisers coming up in the month of October in honor of my mother. Her birthday was October the 18th. So we're going to be celebrating ovarian cancer, her birthday weekend, with 3 events that will be benefiting Ovarcome.
Yay!
Our proceeds will be going to Ovarcome. On Friday, October the 19th, we're going to have a Paint H-Town Teal Trap and Paint Party at Share Space downtown. And then Saturday, we're going to have a Corks and Cleats silent auction and wine mixer. And then on Sunday, we're going to finish the weekend out with a charity flag football game, which is co-ed at Hightower High School. So you can find all of that information at www.officialsdfl.net. So I would love to have everybody come out and support us, as well as the Ovarcome organization.
Absolutely.
So it will absolutely be a great time.
Yeah. Runsi, tell us about Ovarcome, where they can follow Ovarcome and get all the information, the website, and all of that.
And they just had their conference, too.
Yeah, so Ovarcome, we just came out of our Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and so we are pretty active on social media. So you can just look us up on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We try to cater to the audience in 3 different platforms, right? So because the folks that are on Twitter, they are more on information versus those on Instagram who are more on pictures. So we try to keep it as an integrated platform where you go and look us up on all these 3 platforms to get an integrated picture of what Ovarcome is all about. And we actually we are a nationwide organization in the sense that we have affiliations with 50 hospitals nationwide. So we work with all these partners, and as Misty mentioned, that we are very excited to be partnering with SDFL in October to raise awareness, even though breast is the month for breast cancer, but for us, teal is every month, every season.
Day.
Yeah.
So, and also because of the fact that ovarian cancer has very vague symptoms, and it is called a silent disease. So we work very hard to be vocal about this silent disease. And so, every month is our month, and we want to make sure that women know more about ovarian cancer, because it is the deadliest of all gynecologic cancers. It causes more deaths than breast or any other female cancer. So, but the word isn't out there as much as it should be on ovarian. So we are working very actively on it. And so we encourage you to look us up on all our 3 platforms on social media, on our website, and then just stay connected.
Indeed. And Maliah, tell us about Got Boobs.
Got Boobs. You can find us at www.gotboobs.com. You can also download the apps on the iOS and Play Store starting October 5th. And when you do that, please, in your search terms, just type in Got Boobs all together as one word. And let's see, on Facebook, you can find us on our Got Boobs page, or #MyGBCommunity, also one word. And that's also for Instagram and Twitter, MyGBCommunity.
Okay, indeed.
I forgot to mention something too.
Yeah.
While we're talking about events, October 11th, I'm having a breast cancer awareness event honoring a fighter. Her name is Nicole Best. She's a young lady currently fighting breast cancer. So a portion of my class is going to go to her. And then I have a raffle going on where all proceeds will go to Nicole. And then I'll have a panel that Ashley will be moderating with Dr. Templeton,
and then
a few other people that were impacted by breast cancer. So you can follow Accelerate Studio on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Indeed. Ladies, what a segment. So informative. So, Maliah, thank you. Runsi, thank you for coming on. Misty, nice meeting you. Thank you. Thank you, Brooke. And, of course, the lovely Ashley Dedmon, who has put all of this together. We've been talking about this for some months now, huh?
Yes,
and now
yes.
we are here. So I just want to say to you ladies publicly, you have an open invitation to this program. If there's anything you feel that the community needs to know, holla at me. I'll have you on and we'll get the word out there. That's why the show is called Access Houston. So I just want to say that on the record, okay? And thank y'all for coming through.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming in the studio with me. Dr. Yves Abraham of the Mental Health Summit is here to talk about the Kingdom Mental Health Summit that is happening on Wednesday, October the 8th at the October the 10th. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of, I don't know where my mind is. On Wednesday, October the 10th at the Eaton Christian University in collaboration with Lifeline Center. Good morning, Dr. Abraham.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Mental health seems to be the hot topic of 2018.
Yes.
A lot of people are being more transparent about their own struggles with mental health, be it depression or schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, all of that. Yeah. And I feel that it is I feel like it's about time that people of color start talking about mental health because we are the ones that suffer from it the most. Yeah. You know, there was this thing called slavery. Yeah. that had happened to us and all of the trauma and PTSD that brings. Yeah. So you have this summit. Let's talk about mental health awareness. How do you feel about society having this conversation about mental health?
Yeah, I agree with you. The conversation should have been happening many, many years ago. It should not have taken so many people's lives to the point where now it's either we talk about it or something else is going to happen. It's the silent can no longer, we can't remain silent anymore. So I'm passionate about being among those that will help spread the message that it's okay to get help. Doesn't mean having a mental health diagnosis or even having struggles. It doesn't say that you are crazy, that the stigma has to come out of our mind and out of society so that people get the help that they need.
Indeed. And what kind of doctor are you, Dr. Abraham?
Oh, thank you for asking. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Nice. A therapist. Okay.
Yes. I received my doctorate degree from Friends International Christian University in California. Okay. My doctorate is actually in religious fine arts because I was back in the day, I wrote a lot of plays. So I'm passionate about creative arts, and I wanted to use that creative arts gifting in collaboration with therapy, which is what is called psychodrama. So psychodrama is an effective therapeutic tool or model technique used especially when you're dealing with couples issues or family issues. So that's what I do.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Okay, Dr. Abraham, now I'm excited because there's so much going on right now, and we're going to get to the summit that's happening on Wednesday.
Sure.
But having a therapist here, I just want to take this opportunity to, kind of get your thoughts on some of the things that have been going on in the news, entertainment, on social media, particularly Kanye West. Okay. Here is a man who in the springtime told us that he found out that he was dealing with some mental health disorders.
Mm-hmm.
He explained to us that he was on like 7 pills, and sometimes he doesn't take his medications. And so with that, in turn, there was some maybe erratic, rants about whatever, be it about the MAGA hat or, slavery or whatever it was.
Right.
And then, when I turn to social media, I see how people are just, dogging him and canceling him.
Yeah.
And I was confused because I'm like, he told us, he said, he's very self-aware. He told us that he's dealing with some mental health issues, some mental health disorders. He was depressed.
Right.
He was on medication, still on medication.
Right.
And sometimes he doesn't take it. But people still wanted to drag him. And I was like, this is the very thing. If we're supposed to be so woke and so concerned about mental health, why are we going to cancel this man out when he straight up told us that he has a mental health issue?
Right.
I just want to know your whole take on does the medication that is prescribed, does it make one turn crazy?
Right.
Because I think of Kanye and I think of Tyrese, who last summer was going through, no, it was like late, probably around this time last year, the latter part of 17 coming into 18. And then later on, he was saying how I went to the doctor and they gave me these medications and I was off the meds, and that's, where all of that other stuff came from.
Right.
What is your take on this? Are doctors misdiagnosing people? Are they just giving them the pills because, that legal drug dealer comes to their office and say, hey, give your patients this?
Yeah.
Like, what is your whole take on this whole thing?
Well, when you have a mental health diagnosis of sometimes depression or in bipolar and schizophrenia, those that are more intensive sort of diagnosed. Every diagnosis can be intensive, but sometimes depending on the individual, the diagnosis is more pronounced. That means there's a lower level of functioning within that individual. And in those circumstances, doctors will, most likely psychiatrists will recommend medication. Now, every medication have side effects, okay? And every medication doesn't work well on everyone. That's why there's multiplicity of blood pressure medication and diabetes medication. So it's no different. But when a psychiatric medication is prescribed, it is very, very important that the patient or the client is taking the medication on a regular basis. And I am a advocate of not only taking the medication, but also receiving therapy at the same time. Because what the medication does is help with the chemical imbalance in the brain. So while all this process is going on with you, the changes are happening in your body, changes are happening in your everyday life. So it's very important that you have someone to process those changes with, and so that's where therapy comes in, along with, you taking your medication. So
indeed. You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to Dr. Yves Abraham of the Mental Health Summit. The Kingdom Mental Health Summit is happening this Wednesday, October the 10th, at the Eden Christian University. Dr. Abraham, how can one be mentally healthy?
Well, the first thing is to be self-aware, right? And not to ignore what's happening with you. A lot of times we, especially in our society, we get so emotionally involved in social media. We get so emotionally involved in other things where, we're more attracted to someone else's character traits, their own issue rather than our own stuff. So the first thing is to be self-aware. Then after that, you need to make the decision that, you matter. You matter. And once someone decide that they matter, then they're willing to take the next step, to go and get the help that they need. So mentally well person is someone that's not only have the right type of thinking, but it's also that individual eats right, that individual exercise, so it's
enough
not
sleep.
Exactly. So it's not a one, you could have a good or a sound mental capacity, but then other areas of your lives are not in alignment with that mental capacity. So wholeness is what I think, the word wholeness is what we need to reach for. In every area of your life, there's a level of functioning that's happening where you are okay with yourself.
I like that. So you went to a Christian school to get your degree, and you are a psychiatrist. So when it comes to faith and mental health, people in the Christian community, especially in let me not say the Christian community, in the Black community, in the Black church, let me put it like that. Okay, in the Black church, someone going through something, and the first thing that they want to do if they mention going to see a psychiatrist is, oh, baby, you don't need to go see no psychiatrist, shrink your head. Like, just pray about it. God will take care of it. Pray about it. You will be okay. And I'm all for that.
Right.
But at the same time, I also feel like, the Lord did put people on here with different intelligence levels to help their brother or sister.
That's right. God is the one that created mental health.
Come on.
The first thing that when God came into this earth, he told us that the kingdom of heaven is here. So in order for the kingdom of heaven to be established, the mindset needed to be changed. And that's the word repent. So God was right after the mind first before anything else. So the church can no longer ignore the mental health factor. And we see the dysfunction that is happening. We have just take, for example, in relationships, divorce rate is as high as the world. The church is praying and the world is not praying. So, it doesn't equal out. It just doesn't make sense. So prayer is not the, I'm all for prayer myself too, but God gives us wisdom, So in collaboration with prayer and wisdom, you could pray and hear from God and not apply what you receive from prayer.
Come on with the word this morning, Dr. Abraham.
And
come on.
And when that is not being applied, then you might as well have said that you didn't even pray, because application without application is no earthly good. That's what the Bible says. So if we're going to really apply what the Bible says, then mental health is in, not out.
Listen here, on this Sunday morning, you got a word from Dr. Yves Abraham. Thank you for that, because a lot of time I ask that question and I haven't gotten a profound answer as that, and you went back to the word, so thank you for that. Listen to Access Houston. Dr. Abraham is in the building. Let's talk about the Kingdom Mental Health Summit that's happening on Wednesday. For people who would like to come and those that are coming, what can they expect on Wednesday?
Okay, so we have professionals, line up workshops from 8 to 5, and then we have an evening session. So throughout the workshops, they will learn concepts, applications, step-by-step application. I'm an advocate for practical skills. We need to have some ABC steps in order for us to get to wherever we want to get, in terms of goals and achievement and so on and so forth. So in terms of the speakers, we're going to have a speaker that's going to be talking about secondary trauma. Sometimes it's not the issue that happens to you directly, but it's your loved ones, how you are impacted by what happened to you. We experienced the hurricane last year. A lot of us didn't actively impacted by it, but what we were seeing on the news, we were affected by it. So there's a lot of secondary trauma. You spoke about slavery before we got on, and so even that, that's a trend that we need to sort of like come out of the closet about. Secondary trauma, people are experiencing it off and on and on. So that's one. Then we have Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a neuroscientist, and she's going to be talking about how we could rewire the brain.
Mm-hmm.
She's an expert in that. How, your background, no matter what environment you were brought into, that doesn't have to dictate your future. You could rewire your brain, even though, harm have been done to you. You could still change your mind and have a successful life. Your past does not have to determine your destiny by rewiring the way you think and process. Then we have Cassandra Bolaw, who is an expert in relationships. She's going to be talking about how, even us as clinicians and pastors and leaders, we're passionate about helping other people with their relationships in their marriages, but our own marriages may be, messed up. Yeah, right. And we can't say it over the pulpit. So there's all this shame about that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be talking about how to have a nurturing, real, practical, loving relationship with your mate as you helping others do the same thing. So we're excited about the lineup. Myself, I'm going to be talking about kingdom practitioner, exactly what that means. My part of my whole message and passion is that if you're calling yourself a faith-based clinician, then since everyone is not ashamed, everyone else, they're not ashamed to have a disclosure, then why are we ashamed to even bring Christ into the therapy room? So you could learn how to do it in a way where it's respectful to other religion and be equipped to do what God have called you to do. So I'm excited about it.
It sounds fascinating.
Yes.
Absolutely fascinating and necessary.
Yes.
The Kingdom Mental Health Summit happening this Wednesday, October the 10th at the Eden Christian University. Wow. Bridging the gap between faith-based leaders and mental health practitioners.
Yeah.
Very well needed. For those who are listening, just little small things that one can do to calm themselves or bring themselves back to a center from a faith-based perspective and from a medical perspective.
Yes. So practically, make sure that you are, we have a plan, we have a budget plan, but then a lot of us don't have a life plan. We don't have a rest plan. Make sure you are eating right. Make sure you're taking the enough rest that you need. You're not losing time. A lot of us think that we're losing time.
Mm-hmm.
You're only losing time when your body is not equipped for it to do what you want it to do. So make sure that you are doing these practical things, and then at the same time, trust in your creator. You can't. I always tell people that if you driving a Mercedes and the Mercedes broke down, then I can't go to a Hyundai dealer to get the parts. I have to go back to the Mercedes. So, if something is broken, ultimately you have to go back to your source.
Yes, I love that. Mm-hmm. Where can people get more information about the summit on Wednesday and just all of the information that one would need? So
the summit is actually going to be held at Sweetwater Church, located at 1730 William Trace Boulevard in Sugar Land, Texas. For registration, they could go on to kingdomhealthsummit.com or they can go to edencu.com or call at 954-446-5206.
And is there any social media accounts,
Facebook.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
On Facebook, and they just need to search
for Kingdom Mental Health Summit, or they could look me up, Yves Abraham.
This has been a great conversation. Thank you for stopping by and letting us know about the summit that is happening on Wednesday and giving us that good word, because you touched me, so I know you're going to touch somebody else out there with that answer. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You are so very welcome. And thank you for listening to Access Houston.